All right, YouTube, what is going on? I'm going to tell you why I think that the LBZ Duramax is the best vehicle for an outdoorsman. Whether you're a hunter, a fisher like I am, mountain biker, hiker, doing anything outdoors, this is a great vehicle to have, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you my top 5 things of why I think that the LBZ Duramax is the best outdoor adventure truck. So just off the rip, I mean, first thing first, these things are absolutely gorgeous. You can find one that is not all rusted out. The rocker panels in the northern states, they seem to go, and especially the fenders. You can actually tell I put junkyard fenders on these, and there's a slight difference in color, but overall, I mean, this thing is pristine. It is absolutely gorgeous paint-wise. The rockers are in good condition. The only thing, obviously I have a cap. And that's also one of my main reasons I like this truck. The cap is not color matched, but everything else looks pretty good. But these are timeless. These are very nostalgic. I just remember growing up and always wanting a cat eye Duramax, specifically the LBZ. I mean, this thing is beautiful. There's not a thing on this truck that I don't like, as far as the front end, the mirrors, the wheels, the tires. Obviously, you don't have to go with the off-road tires. There's a 35s on some Denali wheels, but overall, this thing is just a gorgeous looking truck. I got the 5-inch MBRP exhaust with a polished elbow. If you saw my other video, I installed that. But overall, this truck is just absolutely beautiful. But again, it's not all about the looks. For me, it is. I've always been a big truck guy, as far as I like my trucks to look pristine, clean, and I always like them to look good. But one of the main things that I really love about this truck is how reliable they are. Every vehicle has their ups and downs and the small things that, can go wrong after 200,000 miles. But for a diesel truck, they don't get much better than this. These are pre-emission trucks. The only thing that it has is the EGR. And those are easy enough to delete if you're using them for off-road purposes. But, it doesn't have DEF, it doesn't have diesel particulate filter, doesn't have any of that stuff. So it is very reliable. I have taken this thousands and thousands of miles within the span of 2 months, and it's never let me down. It's easy to work on. There's parts you can find everywhere. Every auto store is going to have parts for a Silverado, especially the 2500. So, that is one thing that I can really appreciate. And one of the reasons that I ended up getting this truck, because I was actually in a 2018 High Country that was on 10 inches of lift, and I sold it to get this truck because I knew it's what I wanted. I knew that it was going to be reliable and it was going to last a lot longer than a 1500 would with a 5.3 liter gasser engine. You're going to have to expect some things to go wrong, but so far, this truck has been absolutely awesome. And not only is it reliable and it has readily available parts, is that it gets really good fuel mileage. Before I put these 35s on it, I was running the normal stock like 32-inch wheels or 32-inch tires. When I was running the 32-inch tires, I was getting, with this tune that I have on it, I was getting almost 24 miles to the gallon on the highway with a fully loaded bed. And even with these 35s, I'm still getting 18 to 19. I can get 20 if it's not a super hilly terrain. So, that's always a bonus, because I know some of the 1500s, especially if you put any kind of different wheels or anything, or heavier wheels or heavier tires, you're going to sacrifice a lot of fuel mileage. On my other truck, I had 35s and I was getting 15 if I'm lucky. And if you're traveling, 500 to 1,000 miles, that adds up. So I can really appreciate the fuel mileage that these trucks have. And I think a lot of it is because of the pre-emission stuff, and it's not restricted. Like I said, it has a full exhaust. It's got a downpipe. It's breathing good. And, with the tune, I don't have it on an economy tune. I have it on just like a normal stage 2 tune, or whatever you want to call it, a transmission hauling tune, a towing tune, whatever you want to call it. And I can still pull in a camper. I can still get 17 miles to the gallon. It's unreal. But that's one other bonus and benefit of having this vehicle. Also, another thing that I really enjoy about these Duramaxes and just any full-size truck in general is that you can fit a lot of stuff in this bed. This is a 6-foot bed, and it's nothing crazy. Obviously, it's actually a 6.5-foot bed, but with the cap, I can fit so much stuff in there. You know, even without, I could fit a lot more than I could with my previous trucks, like the 1500 that I have. That was like a 6-foot bed. Then I had a Tacoma before that, and it was a 5.5-foot bed. So, I mean, these just a full size truck with at least a 6.5-foot bed in general is going to be better for your weekend trips and stuff like that if you need to take a lot of stuff with you. And also I have the crew cab, which is also a bonus. The crew cab is nice, and you'll have to excuse my mess in here. I actually use my vehicle, so I have to keep tools in here sometimes, but you know, with the folded down seats, you could almost sleep in here if you wanted to, and I definitely have. But essentially, when I'm going on my hunting trips to Ohio and out of state and stuff like that, I can pack this full of basically almost all my stuff. And then I still have this entire bed if I want to bring decoys, fishing rods, tree stands, and stuff like that. It's super efficient on room, especially with these seats folding down. I definitely like this feature. I don't know of any crew cab or like full size cab truck that the seats don't go down, but that's just one thing that I like about this truck. So the fourth thing that I really like about this vehicle is that it's got plenty of power, even without the tune, without being deleted or anything. This has plenty of power to do whatever you need, essentially. With it being a diesel, has a lot of torque. If you're pulling a camper, pulling a trailer with a side-by-side on it, this definitely is going to do what you want. There's no limitation of power with these. They have a lot of torque, a lot of horsepower. Like I said, I've towed a camper with a four-wheeler in the bed of my truck, completely full, and it has done great. I still get 16 to 17 miles per hour out the PA Turnpike on the rolling hills. That's just a great feature that it has plenty of power. You know, if you had like a smaller V6 or even like a V8 gas engine, they can sometimes struggle, especially if they're not geared the proper way. And with this truck, it comes standard with 410s. Some trucks have the 456s, and they're great for towing. But for this truck, with the power it has and the gearing it has, this can essentially tow whatever you want. You could put a gooseneck on this if you wanted to haul a gooseneck trailer. So, you know, basically this truck is great for anything you need as far as camping. If you're a hunter, like I said, like I am, pulling a side-by-side, no issue at all. And probably the last, if not the best thing about this vehicle, this LBZ in particular, is that they are very sought after. And these things hold their value. Even if you put 100,000 miles on it since you bought it, I've seen these things, you know, with 300,000 miles on it, people are selling them and successfully selling them for 22,000 to 25,000. I found this one. It was pretty low miles, 161,000, and I got it for 22,000. So I thought that was a really good deal, and that's why I bought this truck in particular. I was looking for a while, but this one, they definitely hold their value. Everybody's going to want an LBZ. I don't think you're ever going to have to worry about losing your value on this. It's like I said, if you put 100,000 miles on it, obviously you're not going to list it for what you paid for it originally, but you can get most of it back. And it's pretty much all because of the motor and how reliable they are. So all in all, these are really good vehicles if you're an outdoorsman and you're doing a lot of traveling and you need to get somewhere in a reliable state. These things are great. So basically, in a nutshell, these things are timeless with their looks. Everybody loves a good cat eye Chevy. They offer plenty of reliability and, like I said, plenty of availability of aftermarket parts and OEM parts if you need something in a pinch. Pretty much any auto store will carry most of the parts you need, unless it's something like crankshaft or injectors or something. So your normal day-to-day things that, you know, you could break or go bad on these vehicles are pretty available. And then also the room in these are great. I have actually slept in the bed. I have slept in the cab during the winter months. It has plenty of towing power. And then also the value hold that it has. You're going to buy this and it's not going to drastically go down in value if you put a couple tens of thousands of miles on it. They hold their value pretty well. These are a great vehicle if you have 20,000 or 25,000 that you can spend. It's going to get you a little more than you would buying another vehicle for that amount of money. It's going to last a lot longer. And like I said, they're easy to work on. So I hope you guys enjoyed, kind of an off topic video. You know, it's neither an exact truck video or a hunting video, but it's kind of a mix of in between. And I just wanted to share with you why I thought that the LBZ Duramax was the best truck for the outdoorsman.